This is Audible.
Audible started almost 25 years ago, actually, in my attic with a crazy idea that people would be walking around with electronic devices in their pockets filled with the sound of civilization, which turned out to be true, and we were a big part of this amazing adventure and culture. We're a company that's become a very large international media company. There are millions and millions of people listening to Audible as I'm speaking. But the idea of Audible was that we created a new cultural category among listeners, actors, and writers that actually expresses the spoken word in a new and more profound way. And it really has become a category of American media alongside video, books, and music. And it's exploded in a million different ways, which most people know at this point, but it's been an incredibly gratifying adventure for me to start with an idea and have it turned into something that this many people care about. All of this was something that we realized we could address structural inequality, particularly in American cities, if we moved in without any incentives, mind you, we just moved in and decided to embrace the comeback of one of the greatest American cities, which was Newark. And this was a vision of the possible that a lot of people around me embraced. We moved into downtown Newark. We had 125 people. We've grown to over 1,700 people, and that doesn't count a lot of the local people and contractors that we work with and the ways we connect to the city. And it's been one of the greatest decisions that I know that I've made as a leader during this amazing adventure. On a personal level, I had been Newarkized for quite a long time, and I was very much excited about this idea that people could be given a chance in a relatively challenged urban core, which just resonated for me. I also did meet a young Yale Law School student around the same time who told me his vision about why he wanted to move to Newark, and that turned out to be Cory Booker. So his idea of what this amazing city could be was very much in my head. Newark is a fragile city on an amazing comeback track. And as with other cities that have historically structural challenges based on inequality and structural racism, like, it's time to wake up to how much these cities need us, and particularly for corporations that are healthy enough to be part of the solution. So what we did when we got to Newark is we tried to develop models and innovations and inventions and ideas that could be good for business and good for society. So you pay your employees $500 a month after taxes to move to Newark. We will pay you to move to Newark. Other CEOs and I said, what are you doing? And I said, well, actually, you can't believe how good it is for business. We end up with people having more measurable productivity because they can walk to work when times are normal. You end up with all sorts of young executives who want to be part of Audible rather than our competitors because of the idea of being pioneers in an urban turnaround. It completely works on every level as an investment and an ROI. You decide to take a church at huge expense and renovate it and make it almost a cathedral that celebrates the cultural history of Newark. You decide that all your paid interns should be kids from Newark. In comes these incredible Audible scholars. They make your culture so much richer, and they're part of connecting you to the community in a way, and you're providing incremental jobs and also exposure to the vocabulary of the workplace. You're giving people a chance, and that leads to our customer care group realized that one of the great challenges for us was to have the most technically adept customer care group on the internet, 96% customer satisfaction. You have to know an amazing amount about technology to serve our customers. Well, what if we could find people who didn't actually have high school degrees or college degrees and train them into these really high-tech jobs? Now it's 10% of the workforce, and often they were people who didn't have homes, came from Covington House, or they were in the vortex of single-parent welfare existence, and now they work with us. You cannot believe how that graces an internal culture with power and meaning and pride. It costs a lot to invest in that training, but it actually is a model that works. So there just is a higher order concept of invention when you look at things that can be new and disruptively different and positive. So an example is Newark Venture Partners. It looks like a venture fund, but the reality is it's more than a venture fund. It was designed to actually create equitable growth. 82 companies are part of this portfolio, drawn from almost 10,000 companies that have tried to be part of Newark Venture Partners from around the world. So Newark Venture Partners is a huge success for investors, but it's also a huge success for Newark because of these companies that want to plant here and grow incremental taxable revenue and job growth. Newark Venture Partners is thought to be an absolute jewel in the crown of Newark, and it's why companies have come from literally all over the world to want to be a part of it. And once they get here, they want to be a part of growing from 100 to 1,000 employees to more, like we did in Newark, and that's a huge positive. But if we let the downtown go down, where all these companies want to plant, or even in the wards where they want to plant, they won't plant, and we'll have robbed the city of a huge amount of job growth, which is why we got to save the small business economy as best we can, and that won't happen by studying it. It'll happen by studying it with a look to a bias for action. So when the pandemic hit, because we employ so many people, we knew what was going on in the city very quickly. And because of our relationship with the school system in particular, we knew immediately that there would not be food, even with traditional relief lines. So we realized that we needed to have a response around food and restaurants. And that led to the idea of Newark Working Kitchens, which is a startup that needed funding. And this was an idea that came from people in our organization who understood what was happening to the small business economy in Newark, and also understood that the record would show that these restaurants will go out of business forever and will really denude, particularly the downtown and many of the neighborhoods of the small businesses, which is where the working poor, the paycheck to paycheck people live now. They're not laborers as they were in the 1930s. They're in the service economy. And if you look at the unemployment rates from the COVID crisis, it inordinately hammers people of color and people in these particular jobs. That's where the unemployment rates are highest. So we realized a very simple thing. What if you just went to these amazing restaurants where we were already buying meals for our employees to support the local economy? What if we just bought 200 of your great meals a day? And then we'd figure out how to target the delivery of these meals to the many, many people in Newark who can't go out and should not go out, particularly during a COVID crisis. So the idea started to take off. The demand among the restaurants was unbelievable. We, of course, just took our trucks and our Audible vans, and with amazing volunteers, we actually put out 500,000 meals since inventing this thing in only about 25 weeks. We know where certain groups of homeless people are to get them the food. We work with the public school system because of food deprivation of the students who were so dependent on school lunch. We're able to go through our colleagues at ICC to see families that are really without food in this crisis and get the food to them. And the feeling in the restaurants is that they have gone back to work to serve a purpose that saves jobs and saves lives. So when you realize that these restaurants are largely there to serve the healthy businesses in the downtown area, we have to save these restaurants. We also just needed to care for our own. We realized that some of our own employees, their families didn't have food. So part of this was making sure the drop-offs happened actually with people who work with us. And then the city hall came up and put a significant amount of money into this, realizing how important it is under Russ Baraka's leadership. So it took a team of people brought together, managing this with lots of partnerships, working every day with our community colleagues across the nonprofit sector and the government sector. And so that was our primary pandemic response. And then we realized too that there were too many things going on, which were scalable models that work versus things that don't work, which is why we've just announced a new global center for urban development. The idea is to take all of the things that the community has to offer that we've seen working so well, and all these ideas of how to inject economics and new kinds of economic incentives, new kinds of investment paradigms, scalable concepts that actually touch inequality potentially in new and kind of entrepreneurial ways. And to basically then fit this group out with the best food economists, the best actual analytical economists, and to bring in people like Aisha Glover, who is one of the most seasoned, economic development experts in the entire New York area. This stuff is structural, and it needs to be addressed with structural, solutions. And that's why we put together this new center to field the best ideas and hopefully galvanize the community organizations in support of new visions of the possible. Our adventure here has been one that we're incredibly proud of on the business side, but there's no reason not to feel that those business principles and how we got here can be applied to urban innovation in a way that can make a difference. So if I was going to leave one thought and one ask, particularly to those leading the healthy corporations that exist both in Newark and in the metropolitan area, look closely at Newark Working Kitchens, because it's not just a relief effort. It's what we call a flywheel. It actually empowers small businesses in a way that could lead to their absolute sustenance and their growth. And it touches a concatenation of small businesses from little taco shops down to 10,000 farms. It's a pretty sophisticated model about why these people working in the food economy need to be philanthropically supported. And it's absolutely key to allowing places like Newark, Camden, Trenton to have a fair bite at the apple. So if you haven't looked at this yourself, please do, because we need to raise a bunch of millions of dollars, and it's one of the best models for a philanthropic investment I've come across in years and years of studying the sector.